This is Small Talk with Jill, exploring businesses one virtual interview at a time. Today I'll be speaking with business owner Carlee Myers of Stressless. Carlee Myers is an expert at helping professionals who feel overworked, overwhelmed, or on the verge of burnout release stress so that they can find more joy at work, home, and beyond. As the founder of the Stressless company, Carlee has helped hundreds of professionals across the country take action to reduce stress through coaching. She believes there is a no one-size-fits-all when it comes to stress management. Carlee, a diplomat of the American Institute of Stress, has had her work most recently featured in media outlets such as Parade, Good Day, Philadelphia, Fox 29, the Philadelphia Inquirer, Philly Mag, and Woolly Magazine. Welcome to Small Talk with Jill, Carlee. I am so excited to officially meet you. We have indirectly met. Carlee and I belong to a international organization called Fem City. The opportunity to interview you couldn't be more perfect, being this is Mental Health Month and stress. Talk to us about it. Tell us a little about yourself and the stress-free world that you're trying to create.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I always say when people ask me how I got into this line of work, it's like opening a can of worms. That's for sure. But what we do at the Stressless company is actually we help people who are overworked, overwhelmed, on the verge of burnout, somewhere in between, right? Just like you shared earlier, really reduce stress, find more joy, find more time for the things that are most important to them. And I actually got into this line of work because of an experience that I had when I was younger. Um, so our perspective, my perspective really comes from a place of personal experience. When I trying to get to the point or give you guys the cliff notes about how I got into this place. When I was around 12 years old, my mom ended up dating a bad apple, and so we actually ended up experiencing a domestic violence situation in my household as a kid. And so my mom ended up dating a bad apple. She found out he had a history of domestic violence. She broke it off. Well, that guy ended up breaking into my childhood home, killing my mom's new boyfriend and trying to kill my mom.
Oh,
And
man, so sorry.
yeah, well, and the good news is, right, is that my mom survived, and she did have to learn how to walk again and talk again and swallow and chew, like all the stuff again. But if you saw her today, you would have no idea. All she has is a pair of reading glasses and a slight limp, and that's it. You would have never guessed that she had been shot 3 times. But for me, it was a real struggle. It was a struggle for a long time, with the symptoms of PTSD, with stress, with overwhelm, with the whole 9 yards, night terrors and everything. And for a long time, I didn't tell anybody what was going on, right? Because I think we all get to this place, especially when we're going through something difficult, that we feel like we're going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. We're going to be the thing that breaks somebody else or breaks our family, or we're going to be a burden. And so it took me a long time to share with people what was going on in my life. And then finally, when I did, I would say things like, hey, I'm stressed, or hey, I'm overwhelmed, or hey, I'm struggling, or kind of struggling right now. And I would ask people for advice. And I would get approximately the 5 same answers, right? Hey, Carlee, have you tried therapy? Have you tried meditation? Have you tried yoga? Have you tried, you're changing your diet, getting this, insert mainstream approach here, right? And the reality is that I was so desperate for change that I had tried all of that. And some of it didn't work, let's be real. And some of it worked a little bit, but nothing ever got me over that hump to finding that sense of joy or peace or silliness or goofiness or whatever beautiful state of mind I wanted to be in. Those states of mind that I used to roll my eyes at because I didn't think they were real. And it took me 10 years to figure out what worked for me, what uniquely worked for me, to get into that state of mind. And that's when I realized, when I found what worked for me, that there is no one size fits all, that every single one of us has a unique remedy to stress. And yes, it might be one of those mainstream 5, or it may be one of the other infinite possibilities, something that is just as unique as our fingerprints.
So how do people move forward to find that with you or through you? Because like you said, it's not one size fits all. So it's an exchange of conversation and understanding, and I'm sure lots of trust and confidence because of the stories being told. How does your program work?
What I found that worked for me years and years and years ago at this point was drawing out my feelings, my night terrors, and trying to process things in a different way, non-verbally, basically. That was what worked for me. Now a lot of people, when I say that, they get tense, they get nervous, they're like, I'm not an artist, are you I'm not creative. But
I was just getting out my piece of paper to see if I could draw for you.
Yeah. They're like, I can't even draw a stick figure. Are you kidding? But, that was for me. And believe me, my art was not attractive to the eye when I first started. But more specifically, what I found was this thing called creative stress reduction. And creative stress reduction is any activity that gets us out of fight, flight, or freeze mode and into a state of play or flow. So this can be anything. It can be playing with your dog. It can be painting if you want it. It can be formatting an Excel spreadsheet. It could be going on a hike. It could be anything, so long as it gets you out of fight, flight, or freeze mode and into a state of play and flow. I do have a free gift that I can share with you guys if you want some help figuring this out, and all of the things that I'm going to share. But really, the real question then is, how do you find the creative stress reduction activity that works for you? Because that's the thing that is the foundation of what I teach. And in order to find that, in order to get out of fight or flow, to find that thing, to get into that state of play or flow, what I recommend my clients do is start by writing a list of at least 100 items. And everybody's jaws drop when I say 100. Right? 100 items that we love doing. And again, it can be anything, and there's no editing here, right? So you can say, I love going on walks, but you can also say, I love my glass of wine and my cookies, right? Anything
I immediately said, I wonder if that's me or not.
But yeah, so write the list, and people's jaws will drop when I say 100. But yeah, it could be anything. It could be the wine, the cookies, the walk-in of the dog. It could be hiking. It could be Excel spreadsheets, whatever you want. There's no editing here. It can even be the hanky panky. Anything goes on this list. And then, once you have that list of 100 items, and it might take you a few days, let's be real, right? Like we can probably get 30, 40 items out, and then we run out of ideas. We can keep coming back and adding to it. But once you have that list of 100 items, what you're going to do is you're going to ask yourself 4 questions. So the first question in going through this list is, does this item have the potential to put myself or someone else in harm's way? If it does, right, especially in the world that we're living in right now, social distancing and the whole 9 yards, right? If it has potential to get to hurt you or someone else, you're going to cross it off the list. So the second question that I would ask in going through the list would be, does this item have the potential to trigger me? Like, based on my past experiences, based on my own trauma, does this item have the potential to trigger me? So a great example of this is, part of my symptoms of having PTSD, I would have night terrors and I'd have nightmares. Totally different conversation we can have on another day. But some of those nightmares would be drowning nightmares. And so I might write yoga on my list, but if that yoga practice has anything that has me hold my breath, it might trigger me to that night terror or nightmare. So that's something that I will always research before I go to make sure I'm not going to be holding my breath, because that's just not good for my stress reduction, right? So we're going to ask that. Another great example is you might have, I had a client a few years ago who was a survivor of sexual assault. She was interested in exploring massage because she heard so much incredible, feedback about how massage can really relax you, but she wasn't sure if it was going to trigger her or not. And that's just something we crossed off her list. Now she could go explore that on her own, but it would not be creative stress reduction for her. The third question that you're going to ask is, does this item fit into my resources? So does it fit into my financial resources, my time resources, my social resources? So, and if it doesn't, you're going to cross it out. So a lot of people like to put their fancy vacations or.
Now I see the list. I get it. I get the direction. Ah!
Yeah. So, those things are going to get crossed
We
off.
can't go to Paris.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not saying you can't go to Paris, but I'm saying it's not
right now we have to.
Yeah, exactly. We can save up for it later, but it's not going to be the thing that's going to serve us right now. And then the last question, I think this is probably the most important question, because we like to fool ourselves, which is that we would ask ourselves is, if I did this item every single time I was stressed out, would it be healthy? So if I drank wine every single time I was stressed out, would it be healthy? You're right, we'd probably be staggering around, all of us.
And I think that's actually, and indirectly, I think that's a conversation a lot of people are having too. I know you use it as an example, but there's been a lot of social media conversations. I'm sure you've seen them too, and that.
Yeah, there's a lot of baking aisles empty right now.
Yeah.
A lot of recycling bins full of glass containers. I won't say what kind, right? But asking yourself, if I did this every time I was stressed out, would it be healthy? The reality is it probably won't. Like, whatever that item is, the drinking or the eating or the whatever it is. It can even be exercise. Know yourself, right? And then you would cross those off as well. And then what you're left with on this list is you're left with all of the healthy and accessible creative stress reduction activities that you can do and you can implement that are realistic, accessible, affordable, like the whole 9 yards, that you can implement now. No excuses, right? And so that's the first thing that I would recommend, is to get yourself out of fight or flight by using one of those activities. Because the reality is if we're in fight or flight, we oftentimes make pretty poor decisions. And so we want to get out of that headspace so that we can make better decisions and get to the real stuff, which is the chronic stressors, right? The issues, maybe it's a bad relationship or money or job pressure, or you're like, maybe there's a health concern like chronic pain or something. Like, we can get to those stressors from a state of mind that is so much clearer.
So people can work with you on coaching, correct? They can either be long term or short term. Is that how your packages work, or how they can interact with you? I think that these 4 steps, I think, are going to be just the beginning of a long term relationship or relationship with you. So if we could touch upon what so they get through these steps and they're like, wow, but I still want to talk to her. I understand what she's saying to me, but I know there's more to this.
Yeah, the goal really here for this is to say, this is what I can do at home. And if you want to have another conversation, then we're talking about, okay, if we're stuck around creative stress reduction, we need to have a conversation, get you out of fight or flight, that's for sure. But then it's the chronic stressors that are complicated, right? Those are the ones we got to dig out by the roots, and those roots are nice and strong and stubborn, right? So that's
like asparagus, right?
Yeah.
Asparagus.
Exactly. So, I work with people privately. I have group programs. I even have DIY programs. One of the programs that I'm most excited about launching, it's actually launching on May 12th, 2020. And it is called the Virtual Stressless Space. And it's basically self-care accountability. So if we are having trouble doing those things to take care of ourselves, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's going on that walk, maybe it's calling our doctor and making that doctor's appointment, whatever it is, doing the creative stress reduction, writing that list out, whatever it is. What we're doing in that program is we're actually meeting twice a month for an hour. And what we do is we go around the room and each of us shares the self-care activity that we want to be doing.
So this is on Zoom, right? We're going around the Zoom room.
Going around the virtual Zoom room, yep. And then after we all share what we're going to do for the next 40 minutes, we shut our cameras off, we mute ourselves, and we go and we do it. And then in 45 minutes, Yet we come back and we say, I did it. I didn't do it. Why didn't I do it? Or or we're celebrating because we did do it. Yeah, so that's a really exciting program that we're launching. And the best part about it is that it's only $17 a month, which is amazing.
That's absolutely incredible.
Thank you. Yeah.
You are one amazing woman. What you went through, no words. I don't have the words to verbalize. I want to virtually hug you. I want to virtually tell you how much you inspire me. I'm sorry for the pain, but you're using it in a positive way to help others. And there is no that's priceless. You can't put a dollar amount on that. That's priceless. You just gave us a gift right now. Here you are giving a gift of 4 steps, because some people right now may not be able to afford the $17. We know everybody's going through all sorts of things. Some are unemployed, some some are just having trouble getting food on their plates, but you just gave the gift to the world of 4 steps. And then when time allots, then should they not be able to participate, then they can reach out to you, because now we have this interview, and I'm beyond flattered that you're giving me the opportunity to interview you. So Carlee, it's not enough that you've started us out on a journey for less stress. I know that you have something else to offer those that are watching this.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for reminding me. So, we talked about the first steps, and this is definitely a foundation. But if you're feeling really stuck, you're feeling really overwhelmed, you don't know exactly where you should be going next to start managing your stress, then what I'd like to do is I'd love to offer you the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with me, a complimentary Stressless clarity session. Now, this is 30 minutes. It's a 30-minute phone call to help you, 1, get to the root of your stress, 2, to create an action plan, and 3, to see how I can support you moving forward. So if you are interested, if you feel like you could use that extra support, what you're going to do is you're going to visit stresslessco.com/apply, and don't forget to mention small talk.
Carlee, it's a thrill. I'm honored to be a fem sister with you, and I'm honored that you've been on Small Talk with Jill. I will be talking to you, and I know plenty of our viewers will too. Be well.
Thank you.
Take a moment here to subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any other updates from Small Talk with Jill. If you know a business or own a business you'd like to see featured, please comment below. Until next time, remember, here on Small Talk, we are connecting people to people and business to business.